Hi, welcome to the Brief Book Reviews channel, otherwise known as An Old Guy Reviews the book that he's read this week. So what's the old guy read this week? The book I've read this week is this one. It's called 8 by Paul Gascoigne. Published as a hardback here in the UK on the 23rd of October 2025 by Reach Sport. And I think the strapline on the front tells us what this is all about. It says, "The real Gazza revealed for the first time." There's also a quote on the front of this particular copy. A memoir as colourful, candid and endlessly surprising as the football legend himself. A quote from the Daily Mail. And for once I agree with the Daily Mail. Never thought that happened. But so it's a football biography. Football biographies tend to be a bit hit and miss because some of these football biographies tend to be written by ghostwriters and they can be a bit dry and a bit dull. This, however, is written by Gazza himself, and you can tell it's written by Gazza himself, and it's a really enjoyable read. Why the title? Why is it called 8? Well, 8 was the number of shirt, jersey, from if you're from the other side of the Atlantic, that Gazza wore when he played for Newcastle, Spurs, Rangers, Borough, and England. Didn't wear the 8 for Lazio because Dino Zoff told him he'd have to wear a 10. But so 8 is a special number for him. And he was also told by a psychologist that there are 8 primary emotions. They are, he says, checking his notes because this is going to go wrong otherwise. So the 8 primary emotions are sadness, joy, fear, disgust, anger, surprise, trust and anticipation. And the book is structured so that those emotions, there are chapters, which fit into those 8 emotions. There's a timeline at the front which charts Gazza's career, starting off at Newcastle all the way through Spurs, Lazio, Rangers, Middlesbrough, and some other jobs he had at the end of his career, which frankly I didn't know about. So, Gazza was without doubt one of the greatest players of his generation. So that alone makes the book a worthwhile read. But also, his off-the-field antics often got more publicity than his on-the-field antics. Well known for his slightly quirky sense of humour and for living life on the edge. And this is a very, very honest a book where Gazza's telling the whole story. So if you're a football fan, you will enjoy the tales of the famous FA Cup final when Spurs beat Forest 2-1, but Gazza sustained a terrible injury in that match, which delayed him going to Lazio. You'll read about what happened when he played for England, the problems with Glenn Hoddle as England manager, and the good bits when he played for England, the successes which were Italia 90, a great read about some of the tales behind that. And in fact, there's quite a few tales about the England camp as well as the clubs he's played for. But we also get the other side of Gazza. We hear the story behind the Raoul Moat story, which is a typical Gazza type story. We find out things that he actually likes writing poetry. We also find right at the end of the book that he's a user of Botox on his forehead, and I suppose some of us would be surprised at that, and but Gazza probably wouldn't be because he couldn't show surprise. But there you go. So I really enjoyed it. I think it's a very enjoyable read. There's a foreword at the front by Alan Shearer. He's clearly, people who know him and played with him have the utmost respect for him because he's a wonderfully talented footballer. And I think this is an attempt to put some of the more lurid press headlines about his off-the-field activities to bed, because it's a very honest tale. And as I said at the start, very often football biographies tend to be written by ghostwriters and a bit dry. This isn't that, and at times I suppose it's a little bit clunky to read, but it's Gazza writing it. So it's 278 pages. You get all the stories behind Gazza's football career, and you also get the background to some of the off-the-field antics and the off-the-field problems. In particular, the phone hacking that had a terrible effect on his life because he couldn't understand why the newspapers knew what he was up to, and what he was doing, when only a few members of his family knew about it, and of course they were hacking his phone. So Lots to read, lots to enjoy. I really enjoy reading it. So, as I said, 278 pages. If you're a football fan, you'll love it because you get behind the scenes of what happened in Gazza's football life. If you're just interested in life in general, this is an interesting tale of an interesting guy. So well worth a read. So I think that's it for this week's brief book review. I'm glad to be back in 2026. Apologies for the slight decline in reviews at the end of 2025. I wasn't well. I'm okay now. So thanks to everybody who subscribed in 2025. Really do appreciate it. So let's knock it out of the park in 2026. So that's it for this week's brief book review. 10-10. Do we do it again? Bye.